As you guys know, the game has been out for 1 month now, and between the Strength Dungeon as well as the Magic Shop, we've been able to collect ourselves our first Meditation Glyph set. However, we have a ton of different units that we have to select from, so how do we go about finding the right one for it? That's what we're going to find out today, as I have 4 things to consider for you guys when equipping your first meditation set. What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again with the next video for Might and Magic Elemental Guardians. As stated, we're going to be taking a look at those 4 key concepts that we need to consider when equipping our first meditation set, and then we'll take a look at 5 of the units that I have and let you guys know which one I decided to do. Now, again, before we get into the video, I know that we had a giveaway 2 to 3 days ago, so I want to give a quick shout out to Alvin, who was the recent winner of that giveaway. Again, guys, if you are not following me both on YouTube and Twitch, I definitely encourage you to do so. We do a lot of fun stuff on our streams, in addition to having some giveaways courtesy of Ubisoft. So if you guys are interested in free packs, I think you should go ahead and stop on by. I will leave the link in the description down below so you guys can have the opportunity to do so. And if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, I will definitely let you guys know when we have future events. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at our creature box. But before we get into that, we'll talk about the 4 things that I want to look at. These are not going to be on any specific order, okay? And in addition to that, these are, disclaimer, right? This is just my personal opinion. I think there's a lot of things to consider when going about this. This is just how I'm looking at it from my account, and hopefully I can use my, story, my progression to help you guys out, okay? So first one of which that we're taking a look at is the roles. Without question, all the units that are currently in the game have specific roles that you need to consider when incorporated in your team. So depending on the role that it brings, whether it's 1 or even 2 or 3, maybe it has multiple roles, that is something that you will definitely have to take a look at, right? Now, let's talk about the progression, right? Or let's talk about the state of the game right now when it comes to early game progression and creating the Wrath Dungeon team. There's a lot of things that we need to consider, but most of your composition is going to be built around support-based units. Why? You're looking to get that consistent team and just kind of push through the content so you don't lose out on any energy spent for quick deaths or whatnot. So basically 3 out of your 4 or 4 out of your 5 units, depending on where you're at in those dungeons, is going to be support based units. So when we consider the roles that are available, while attack based units or units that are going to provide some kind of AoE poison, they're really beneficial. Ultimately, it's the value of consistency that's going to keep you alive. So taking a look at the support units that provide that level of consistency, whether it's heals or damage mitigation or debuffing, for me is going to be very important, okay? And again, this is how I consider it at the current state of the game that I am in early progression. While I will move down the road in late game and maybe I'll create a speed comp or whatnot, then I might consider getting into that situation where I'm looking at meditation sets for some fun attack based units. Again, that's completely up in the air. We'll have to see how things turn out down the road and when we start to get ourselves a couple of extra sets. The second thing we got to consider is the cooldowns of those specific roles. So obviously we have a lot of different units that we use in our composition, but some of those have really high cooldowns. But depending on what type of skill it is and what kind of benefit it provides for your party, that may motivate you to lean towards that particular skill over another. But even that, one other thing to consider is not just the current level of that cooldown, but the potential of that particular cooldown. So I'm going to take a look at a unit that we currently have, and this is one that I believe a lot of people have been talking about. We've been talking about quite a bit on our channel here, as far as one of the top free-to-play units that you can incorporate in your team. Now, this is definitely a key one that you guys are going to be using in Wrath Dungeon early on. And one of the really cool things about this unit is not just the amount of beneficial effects that it brings, but the 100% uptime that you can obtain by means of this second skill when you get the proper cooldown from using your magical books here. So when you think about a meditation set for something like this, even though you have a 100% uptime and you could use maybe a meditation set to try to reduce this cooldown a little bit more, we're losing a little bit of value from that second skill, because again, we already have a 100% uptime, and this is literally the biggest thing about this skill. Obviously you can make an argument for TOT, turn bar manipulation and whatnot to incorporate this, but when I think about the mini column, the defense mitigation that it provides and the healing bonus that is going to assist with your AoE healer at the start of the game is pretty important. So this is one of those units, while maybe we could consider it just taking the time to get that skill up in this one, to get this 100% uptime, I think it's going to be a little bit important, okay? Next one of which, for the 13th thing to consider is going to be when we're taking a look at these units that have specific roles with high cooldowns, whatnot, what other things do they do? What other things that they can provide for your party? And if that's the case, is there specific stats or attributes that need to be considered when building that particular unit for that buff, right? So let's take a look at our key unit here. The Water Arcane Bird, right? The Water Arcane Bird, as of right now, we do have a 4-turn cooldown, and we have ourselves a 5-turn cooldown on the 3rd skill, right? And so between this unit, this is by far one of the most unique 2-star units in the game, providing multiple roles for this one. However, there's something that we need to consider on this one, and that is the value of accuracy. Accuracy is going to allow us to provide the attack break, the attack par reduction, the AoE slow on this skill. Okay, so again, while this could be a particular unit that you might want to consider, I personally keeping it off a meditation step, because I do believe that having this unit as much accuracy as I can, minus 10%, as we know there's a 10% resistance check there, but a decent amount of accuracy is going to be the most important. And even though we could consider putting the meditation set on to go ahead and reduce the cooldowns, the reduction of the cooldowns to get the skills to go, cast a little bit more is not going to provide me a lot of value if I'm not landing those specific skills. So that is why this unit does not have those particular meditation sets. Okay, and then like we said, basically the final one, they kind of go hand in hand here. If we're looking at a couple of key units, right? If we're looking at a couple of key units, which one is going to provide the most assistance for multiple aspects of the game? And this is something that we talked about in various videos here, making sure that you are super efficient with the glyphs you have and investing your best glyphs on your best units. Okay, now what we'll do is, we already kind of talked about the Water Arcane Bird. Obviously you guys know that was one of my ones that I was considering to put up in there, but I've already stated the reason why. Now I know you guys are going to be surprised, because one of the things that I'm sure you guys are thinking about is, wait a second, he got himself a nat 4. Actually, he got 2 nat 4s, right? So let's take a look to see if that's going to be the case, right? And so we'll kind of use our guidelines to kind of assist in why we're making this decision. Okay, so my latest nat 4, right? We have the Fire Flaming Hexer here, or the Fire Goblin Shaman. Now this one here is one of the best turn bar reduction units in the game in PvP. I mean, obviously it's beneficial in PvE. It's going to provide us a blinding and a silence on the 2nd skill, as well as a chance to provide a poison on the 1st one. And this one can evolve into a 1st skill strip. So I mean, a lot of value to be had on this one. But when we think about it at hand, what this unit can do when it comes to stealing buffs and lowering the turn bars by 65%, there is without question a valid reason to consider this unit to be one of your fastest glyphed units in the game, right? I'm looking to get the 1st turn. I'm looking to reduce the turn bars so that the rest of my party in PvP or PvE can go ahead and go. While that it's extremely nice to get that speed, and maybe in PvE it doesn't play like, having high speed is good, but it's not like gonna make or break it because of the fact that we're gonna outspeed the boss either way. When I consider it in multiple aspects of the game and running PvP, then yes, I have to put an emphasis on speed if I want to be competitive. And for that reason, I'm not going to be using a meditation set on here, because it would be nice to get the cooldown reduction, but honestly I'm literally using them for the 1st turn and then letting my 3 other units kind of do their wombo combo when it comes to either just raw damage or crowd control, whatever I'm trying to do. Like, that is the main point on here. So the next nat 4 that we got is the correction. That's the one that I keep on saying, the Earth Giant, but as you guys know, it's just it's in my head. It's a dream. I wish this was the Earth Giant, right? But the Air Giant was my first one that I got. And this one here, again, another stellar PvP monster. This has an AoE taunt with a mute. So once we taunt those units, we can silence them, not allowing them to use their other abilities. We got a cooldown reset on the 2nd one, and then we got the 70% chance to stun on this one here. So this one can evolve into an attack and defense break as well, but I got the 70% stun, and I'm happy with that. Again, this is a really good PvP monster, but I did use it quite a bit early on in the game when I had it, just for the simple fact of reducing the amount of damage that my other units take. So the crazy thing about this one is, and this kind of goes on to the cooldowns of the rolls, the part number 2, I guess we could say, or the second thing we were considering, was the cooldowns of this roll on this skill. Now this AoE taunt is obviously an amazing skill. And this actually starts out at a 6-turn cooldown, but between the skill ups that I provided on this one, this has the potential, which is already of course maxed out here, to be a 4-turn cooldown. So when I think about nat 4s in general, there's not, I don't believe there's not a lot of units that have a 4-turn cooldown on a 3rd skill. You know, generally you're going to see them in the vicinity of 5, 6, 7, or maybe even 8 or something like that. So the fact is that what I'm trying to do with this unit in my PvP comp is to basically lock down the opponent for 2 turns, forcing them to attack this one, and use my other dot or crowd controlling abilities to cast after those 2 turns are available. You guys might have seen already on my PvP runs, I've already brought in the Freezing Basilisk to go ahead and provide a 2-turn freeze after this unit has completed his 2-turn AoE taunt. So it allows me just to kind of cycle through the abilities and keep the units locked down while I continuously take one unit down like one by one. So again, 4-turn cooldown. 4-turn cooldown on these skills, and of course the second one is also a 4-turn cooldown. Sure, I can get a little bit more value out of it if I max it out to a 3-turn cooldown and then consider a meditation set, but considering where I'm currently at and what and the way I currently use this in line with the rest of my units, for me this is not going to be a big thing to consider when getting that meditation set on there. And again, we're talking about the first meditation set. Things may change depending on your account or depending on where you're at in the game, but currently right now, between what I do in PvP and the fact that I do need a little bit of accuracy, as you guys can see, I'm running the precision set on here in order to get that rest in peace. That accuracy is not where it needs to be. It needs to be up higher, but you know what I'm saying. It is what it is. We'll get there. But again, just kind of goes to remind us that while there's a lot of things to consider, that aspect of the stat distribution, right? The stats or the attributes that we need to consider when building our units. If we cannot get that, from a high quality subset or whatnot, and we have to go back and forth between like a subset or like a precision one or maybe the meditation one, then obviously I'm going to lean towards more precision one versus the meditation one here, because I value the CC effects that this unit has versus the opportunity to have a 20% chance to reduce the cooldowns. Again, it's not a guaranteed, cooldown reset. Okay, so between the 2 nat 4s, obviously that's not going to be the case. You guys already know that basically the units that remain for our core units, you've already seen the Water Arcane Bird. Another one is going to be the Earth Feather Core. So again, this one goes in line with the one that we just recently talked about. We won't have to get into it, but because of the fact that this unit provides a strip, provides a chance to amplify the damage, and I guess essentially one of the best AoE poisoners in the game, providing a ton of damage over time, without question, we need to consider not just the overall stats to keep this unit alive, because its base stats are a little bit low, but the value of that accuracy, when we're getting it from either a teardrop or we're getting it from a set like a precision set, that's the general way that I build mine, but I have to consider that versus going cooldowns. This is my main form of DPS, and sure, I can put on a meditation set to reduce the cooldown times to potentially get more poisons over time. But again, like I said with my first unit, if I don't have the amount of accuracy that I need to be successful, then what is the point of reducing the cooldown times or having the potential to reduce cooldown times if I'm not able to land my abilities? So again, this would be a fun unit to have on meditation, but it's not going to be the case. I'm all about consistency over speed right now and reliability. So I need that reliability coming from the accuracy here. So Air Unicorn, I think it's in line there with the top 3 units between the Winter Druid, the Water Arcane Bird, and the Air Unicorn. But again, for me, this is another one of those, hey, I need to get him. I need to get, he needs to be fast and tanky, obviously, but, I need to have a decent amount of resist on him. I need to have a decent amount of accuracy on him. And again, you guys are laughing because like, dude, what are you talking about accuracy, bro? You have no idea what accuracy is. Yes, I know. I'm currently in the process of getting better precision sets, I promise you guys. But this is one of those units where, again, the cleansing aspect that it provides is extremely important for the early game progression when it comes to the dungeons and whatnot. But one of the things that is really good about this one that provides it just so much more value and so much more reason for you to use it in your composition is that second skill with the beneficial blocker. So the beneficial blocker obviously is not just something that automatically lands. You still have to go through that accuracy resistance check. So this is another one of the units that we're going to be building on haste and precision set when we need it, it's not going to provide us value if we have it on a meditation set. Mind you, it will provide us value, but not the value that we want to have. Even though the third skill is not relying on accuracy, the second skill is, and the second skill is one of the main reasons why I still use it in my composition for a lot of different things here. Again, the Wrath Legend, as you guys have already seen, has that passive that's going to provide him a shield when he critically hits, and he critically hits a lot. So having the beneficial blocker in order to incorporate it and, you know, stop him from providing that so you can take the unit out a little bit quicker is extremely important, and that is why I did not go with the precision, with the meditation set on this one. So again, going back to the Winter Druid, I know I went all over the place, but epic fail, right? If anybody knows my channel, that's kind of how I do things, right? So going back to the Winter Druid, the Winter Druid is an essential unit for my team. You're going to have an AoE healer no matter what you do. While some of you guys may have found this video randomly and you're like, oh, I got the Earth Nymph, is that going to work? Like, it's great for now, but, you know, down the road, you're going to switch it and get yourself an AoE healer. Hopefully a good one at that, right? And when it comes to this particular unit, this is the one that we consider for the meditation set. And so taking a look at some of the things that we considered, the number one thing is the role. It's an AoE healer that provides a defense buff. So we got a little bit of a heal, we got a little defense mitigation. It's providing that sustainability for our team, and we're not going to go in a particular run without ourselves an AoE healer, okay? Next one is we have this unit already maxed out on skills. So the second skill is down to a 3-turn cooldown, and the third skill is down to a 5-turn. This was actually a 7-turn cooldown, so having this one on the 5-turn cooldown, in addition to having that defensive buff go from 1 turn to 2 turns, is actually really, really nice when you're able to cycle it through and get lucky with the cooldown reductions. But I think one of the biggest things that we need to mention is, even though we understand between the Air Unicorn, the Water Arcane Bird, and this one, all three of these units are literally being used in multiple aspects of the game. But the biggest thing, the main reason why we are using this one for our meditation set is that we can incorporate a meditation set without any loss for the value that it provides for the party, right? It literally just boosts our party versus other units that require certain stats, certain attributes by means of the accuracy in order to successfully land or debuffs. This one is not going to have that. So basically everything that I gain, or the potential to gain by means of the cooldown, 20% chance for the cooldown reduction, is going to be good. And if you guys have seen prior to, this used to be on a vitality appeasement set. Of course, the appeasement is still there, and now we have that meditation set. So, considering that now we have a small, chance to reduce the cooldown times, it's only going to assist us with that consistency. Obviously, the AI I think the AI is actually pretty decent here, but the value of the third skill, not only with the heal, but just the defensive buff, since I'm not running a air golem in my team as of right now, this provides a lot of value, and this is definitely a skill that I want to have up as much as I can. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's how I decided to go about putting on this particular set on this unit. Again, I think this is a very, very interesting situation. Your choices when doing this is going to be very dependent on your current state of progression and also the lineup of units that you have. Again, 4 things to consider. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, please share this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care.